Welcome back, guys. This is the first round of top 8. We have Ariel on Blue White Hammer and Carlos on Hardened Scales. Tell me what you feel about this, Jacob.
Well, Hardened Scales, I just watched a little bit of in the last round as the rounds were finishing up, and it looked like a pretty fun deck to show off. I always love counter manipulation, adding, removing, multiplying counters. That whole math aspect of it is gonna get pretty out of hand because we were looking over the list and it looks like it has the Ozolith and it has Hardened Scales plus Zabaz, which is gonna increase those modular triggers.
I'm gonna read you guys the deck lists or the deck names and who they are for top 8 out of order because I don't have them in order in front of me. But you see Carlos and Ariel here on Hammer and Scales. We have Jonathan on Death and Taxes. We have Cal on Red Black Mid Range. We have Devin on Soul Sisters. We have Brian Dorman on what looks like a scam list. Chaz on Yawgmoth and Nick 2 on Amulet. That is our top 8 at the moment.
Alright, so we have a Sigarda's 8 on turn 1 for Ariel. And
that's a really strong opening.
Yep, with Urza Saga. And is that
Saga, I cannot tell what that is. Pierce the Paladin for Janu.
Yeah, I think that might be an Ink Moth in between there.
Kind of looks like a donut.
Yeah. With Carlos with an Ink Moth of his own. I think he's just trying to figure out the right way of sequencing this hand. But yeah, a hanger or a let's see.
I'm trying to see if Carlos is a Haywire on my main board, but it doesn't look like it. Just so you guys know, this top 8 is untimed, so bear with us if rounds take a little bit longer to launch. I'm going to go get a screenshot of the top 8 so I can actually say who's playing who.
Yeah. Yeah, so looks like Carlos might be trying to decide if he wants to start off with the Urza Saga. Let's see, so there's an Arcbound, Walking Ballista that I see. So
Hang Your Back Walker, Saga Ozolith. I can't tell anymore. That one looks like a pathway, maybe?
Oh, it might be a pathway.
Yep, that's a pathway. So, chat, we have Brian Dorman on Scam versus Chaz on Yawgmoth. Ariel and Carlos, as you see. Cal on Scam versus, or Red Black Midrange versus Amulet, and then Devin and Jonathan, which is Martyr Proc versus Death and Taxes.
Alright, so we're still waiting on Carlos, and since Ariel has played, we're not trying to resolve mulligans or anything, so we're trying to just figure out the first few plays of the game.
Carlos is probably trying to figure out if Ariel has some form of beats that he's not thinking about.
Yeah.
We are live to Ginger Brute plus Hammer here.
Yeah.
So Inkmoth Ozolith, pretty good play.
Yep.
Saga Trigger.
Might be, I mean, are you tempted to play your Saga early just to try to start getting those counters up there, or do you want to rely on it a little bit later on for mana?
I don't know. Because Inkmoth here is really strong. There's a Hangerback Walker, right?
Yeah.
And a Zabaz that, if you get them out with Inkmoth, you can start manipulating with that Ozolith and then putting on Inkmoth and winning at once.
Yep.
Yes, Chaz did make it as the 8th seat.
Yeah.
Chaz is currently playing Brian Dorman, who is on Scam. Carlos and his outrageously large dice, I love it. It's covering like 30% of the card. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah. You need to be very clear with your game state and your board.
Oh, yeah.
No confusion.
None at all. Is it? We're misrepresenting. We are red-green here. Yeah, Grove of the Burn Willows. We are red-green here. Crag Crown Pathway.
So I think maybe playing Ballista on one here might be...
I'm a fan of that
Yeah.
because the counter moves to the Ozolith, right?
Yep.
I'm a huge fan of that. It also puts in check this Esper Sentinel.
Yep. If he ever does need to answer it, or, whatever else Ariel might have. Ginger Root, for instance.
Yep.
But,
You gotta respect Ginger Root, because Ginger Root Hammer is pretty gnarly.
Yeah. But unfortunately, he just has a pure Steel Paladin with 2 toughness, so which isn't going to do...
He also has Fortunu, the Emirial, and another Urza Saga.
No, just going to blocks. Let him trade naturally. All right, and then...
We're gonna see how much he respects Inkmoth, because... Or a construct.
Yeah.
Because we could probably make a construct here. What are we doing?
Is that
Hardened Scales.
Yep.
Now we'll activate... No, what are we casting?
Arcbound, I would guess. Oh, okay.
Another Ballista, which will come in with 2 counters.
Blitz on 2 isn't too bad.
Move to combat and put 2 counters on the Ballista from the Scales.
That'll work.
Is it not... How does Hardened Scales read? Carlos knows this more than we do.
Yeah. Move all counters is what the Ozolith says.
And what does Hardened Scales say? Pretty sure it's when you pull a... Would be put.
Would be put.
So move is not put, right?
Yeah. And then looks like he just...
Made a construct and pinged it.
Yep. Important distinction with Magic cards. The words mean very, very particular things.
Village Green, I am a huge fan of Carlos. He has to play the spiciest thing in the room, and he is very good at piloting the decks. Yeah, but it doesn't. Did they not? Did they miss the Hardened Scales trigger? Because I wonder how the interaction works. Let me judge call Steven, because I don't think you can miss the scales. So we need to judge call.
Yeah.
I will grab Jer. Judge!
Yeah, we're just explaining the situation to the judge right now, just so we can ensure everything's happening correctly. Alright, yeah, and it looks like that does get the additional counter because it is not a May. Is that correct?
It is not a May.
Yeah.
I called the judge and she is taking care of it because Hardened Scales is not a May.
So the Ballista should essentially have 1 more counter on it.
Thank you, Steven.
Cool.
So we were right.
Yep.
I'm glad chat questioned what we were trying to figure out to make sure.
Yep. Magic is a very difficult game. So there's the 1 mana floating off the Saga, which got the Needle.
I'm assuming that's a Needle on Ballista?
That would be my guess. And then the Inkmoth Nexus just came into play for Ariel. And I think he's trying to decide what to play at this point. Springleaf Drum makes sense.
I mean, we're going to make another construct here, right?
Yeah.
And we have 2 artifacts. The construct makes a 3 and potentially a 4th with the Inkmoth.
Yeah.
Come to turn, make another construct fetch. It's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
We do have a Ballista we can block with, but we also have another construct we can make ourselves.
Yeah, what does Carlos have in hand? He had the Arcbound. Is that an Echoing Depths?
Yeah, so we can let the Saga trigger, Echoing Depths, and trigger it to 1 and have another Saga. It's pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
I really wish Carlos had mainboarded a Haywire Mine. It would have been so crazy here.
Yeah, Hangerback's pretty big there, I think, though.
Oh, because we can sack the Ballista to the Ozolith. That makes sense. That does make sense.
Or to the Arcbound.
Yeah, no, I mean getting rid of the ballista in general.
Yeah, but if it...
Because you can't activate the ballista with the pithing needle.
Right, right.
There's a really good needle by Ariel, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So Carlos is probably thinking here, do I make a construct or do I do the hangerback walker?
Yeah.
Because we can float a mana.
Yep.
Does he have another land in hand besides the Echoing Deeps?
I can't see
Maybe
that.
floating a mana is, maybe that's not the play this turn, because then we can only do it for 3. And then it's XX. If we float a mana, we're down to these 2 lands. Echoing Deep comes into play tapped.
Oh, it comes into play tapped?
Yes.
Okay, that's the issue there.
Believe it always comes into play tapped.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more...
When Echoing Deeps enters the battlefield, or you may have... Oh, it's a May.
Okay.
It's a copy. It's a May.
Okay.
You may have Echoing Deeps enter the battlefield tapped as a copy of a land in a graveyard, except it's a caves in addition to its other types. So if he was the copy Saga, it would have to enter tapped.
Yeah, but I think he's fine without copying Saga just to get some big creatures on the battlefield this turn.
I mean, I'm not against it. Like a Hangerback Walker for 2, it'll be for 4, right?
Yeah. Or like if he Arcbounds, gobbles up the...
We also have this Ink Moth, where it forces him to have to use his Ink Moth. Because you move all the counters to it.
Yep.
But then we don't have a blocker in case. I don't know. This seems. Yeah, I just looked it up, Aggie Dog. I just read it.
So yeah.
So we're getting a Zabaz with the Saga. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, that's a good option.
What if you drew Soul Cauldron for turn? That would be really good too with Zabaz. You're good, man.
And a
or girl, they. I'm not sure.
Yeah, with the Walking Ballista. Interesting. Yeah, the flexibility of lines. Like, that's the thing that I always enjoy.
Dude, this deck, I wanted to watch it. It has so much.
Yeah.
So we are going to have it enter as a copy of Saga and then...
Arcbound. And he's going to sack all of them. Modular abilities are going to trigger an additional time. So each time he sacrifices, it's going to get 3 counters. Because it would be an additional modular off the Zabaz and then an additional counter off the Hardened Scale.
And he's dead.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
Very powerful magic.
So, for those in chat that watched that and moved too fast, Carlos basically made enough counters with the modular triggers and sacking to put them all in Inkmoth and kill him with Infect all at once.
Yep.
Ariel tapped down to cast a Construct because he didn't want to get Pithing Needled.
Yep. And having the Ozolith move at the beginning of combat.
Yeah.
Transfer all those counters that were sacrificed.
And then they get even more counters.
And then it gets even more counters. Yep. An additional counters being placed onto the Ozolith. Or no, is Hardened Scales just onto creatures, or is it permanents? I'm pretty sure it's just creatures.
Yeah, so it would only double when it went to the creature from the Ozolith, not before.
Right. But still.
That's wild. There we go, Infect Death.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think about it from Ariel's side there. He was worried about not being able to make a construct in a really bad board state because Carlos does play mainboard Pithing Needle.
Yeah.
This top 8 is open deck list. So they did look at each other's deck list before they played, and they're, as you see them on the table now, and they're also allowed to look at them in between games. So Ariel was already aware that there's a mainboard Pithing Needle in Carlos's deck, so that might be why he made the construct, so that had he not and Carlos fetched a Pithing Needle, he would have 0 constructs. And, you know, with the way his hand was, 0 constructs isn't really great for applying pressure. But he did have a Sigarda's. The only issue is he would have to activate his Inkmoth when he fetched off Urza Saga for the hammer. And if Carlos had a flyer, he can just block. And then it would fall off once he deanimated the Inkmoth. So Ariel felt like the better play was probably the construct equipped the hammer to the construct.
Yeah. I mean, but he still knew that Arcbound Raptor was in the main, not necessarily in his hand.
Yes.
So he was just opening himself up to being dead to Arcbound.
Yep.
So having 4 of those versus the Pithing Needle that is the potential to get, I mean, he obviously, you know, had his own reasons for making that decision, and those are good reasons. But in my mind, I always went to err on the side of what's the blowout, what will I die to, and how can I prevent that?
He probably felt like with the Pithing Needle that if he didn't name Ballista, he would never keep a board state
Yeah.
because you're gonna get as the Baz fetch, right?
Yeah.
And then the Ozolith move to contact or move to combat, swing, and then ping, 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 ping. It gets too much.
I'm talking about making his own construct instead of leaving up the Ink Moth to be able to block.
He did. Oh, you mean blowing out that way?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Because if Carlos had the Arcbound and he was able to transfer all his counters onto the Ink Moth and swing in, having that Ink Moth as a blocker would have at least survived a turn.
Yes.
You know, who knows what would have happened beyond that, because then you just have an Ink Moth with like 10 counters on
ton
it.
of counters. Correct. Correct. That's what I figured Ariel would do, was give himself another turn to do that.
Yeah.
But he also tested whether Carlos had it or not, and he did.
Right. Oh. Do we have a...
I am not sure why we have another judge call. I'm sorry to inform you, Shoot did not sneak in.
No.
The only one that snuck in was Chaz.
At 8.
Shoot ended in 14th. Chaz was the only 12-pointer that made it.
Wow. Yeah, it could be about some card interaction with this judge call. Or...
There was only two 12-pointers that had a significant chance to make it, and it was Chaz and Nick Medina, and their breakers were 1.4 difference. So very close breakers.
Yeah. Alright, so Carlos has a gemstone.
Oh, that is a nutty start.
Ballista.
Shadow Spear to Zabaz.
Yeah.
A forest, that's a crazy start.
Is that an echoing there as well? No.
Double gemstone.
Double gemstone.
Wow. Wow.
Gemstone pitching gemstone.
What a wild opening. Oh, don't even stop it. Stop acting like an instant speed removal. Oh my goodness.
Put it back
Is this
down.
the Zabaz?
Yeah. He has
A Bliss on one.
Bliss on one.
Okay.
I mean, with 3 Zabaz, that's a little awkward at this point.
I mean, we're Ozolith away from abusing it.
True. Just legend bombing them.
Oh, we shot for one and
In response to the march, yeah.
It's a good march.
Yeah, with Cauldron, you want to just get it in the graveyard. Yeah. Get that point of damage across.
I just don't think they've updated life totals yet, Steven.
Yeah, Ariel should be at 19 or 17.
Ariel should be at 18. There we
Fetch,
go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Saga on
Saga's
2?
real good.
Oh, wow, another march in hand, too.
Yikes.
Yeah. So, first Zabaz is going to run into... Dismember.
Another march,
Yeah. And then...
If we do a march, we give up the contract. Because we need another mana
true.
source.
True.
That Zabaz might just sit there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not really doing anything.
Yet.
Yeah. It can destroy an artifact.
Yep. Is it artifact or enchantment? Because that's pretty relevant too.
I think white is flying and red is destroy artifact. Oh, destroy artifact you control for Zabaz.
Okay. We looked it up, Jordan. We got it.
Alright, so...
Second Zabaz trigger. Trigger modular, trigger again. Pithing Needle.
What do you name?
I don't know. You're still Paladin maybe at this point? Because you can't really name Cigar Aid. Maybe, yeah, maybe,
I think
it's Pierce still to me.
I would think maybe Saga just to avoid the second construct because Carlos has no...
Yeah, but then you're locked under it for the rest of the game.
True.
You're also in a Saga deck. I don't know.
Well, he's putting mana.
Oh, he's gonna hammer the construct.
Yeah.
Well, what's the backup plan? What is in Carlos's hand?
The Dismember.
Do we surge? Do we have it? We do not have it. That's
Uh,
very important.
Yep.
Very important.
Okay.
We floated a mana?
Yep.
So we have 2 mana. Oh, we passed. Or no. Stoneforge.
Okay.
Off the mana that we floated with Springleaf Drum.
Yeah, that'll be good. Get another hammer.
I want to say that he... I feel like he named Pierce still, if he's grabbing Stoneforge. Maybe he didn't name.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I don't think Pithing Needle does anything against Pure Steel. Because...
You're right.
Yeah.
It's just equipped for free. You're right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what he named.
It couldn't be Springleaf Drum, couldn't have been Hammer.
Nope.
I mean...
It could be Hammer, but it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Aid's triggering.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a big Stoneforge. That's a humongous stone. Okay.
Okay.
That'd be humongous Stoneforge.
Dual wielding hammers.
So the crazy thing to point out here is there's a March in hand.
Yeah.
We're gonna more than likely connect to something here.
Yeah, Welding Jar isn't gonna do much against a March. So Zabaz, Welding Jar, and Shadow Spear is what Carlos has. So I'm pretty sure he's just dead here. And he knows it.
Which one?
And maybe for future games, Steven, if we do get a Pithing Needle, if we could get like the card name on a post-it, just so we're aware of what they're naming to. So
Turns out sideboard's pretty important here with Marches coming in.
and Dismember.
And Dismember.
Yeah.
We've yet to see a Surge.
No Surge. All right. Yeah. And haven't really seen Cauldron either.
No, we haven't seen Cauldron. These
Like-
games have been very quickly.
Yeah, I'm excited to see a Cauldron with the Hardened Scales deck.
You're right, Augie Dog, but it doesn't stop the Sigarda's Aid trigger. So if
Yeah.
you name Hammer, you can still equip a Sigarda's Aid.
Yeah.
He already had an 8 out.
Yeah, that triggered ability when it enters it attaches.
So naming it there with 8 out really didn't do much.
Cursed Totem is probably going to do Ariel some good there. I'm sure he's going to heavily try to find that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Curse is crazy.
I mean, it essentially just shuts down the deck.
Sort of. Carlos has a ton of answers to Curse Totem, though.
True.
These Nature's Claims. What else do you have main board?
Yeah, I mean, it could even be Marched.
Marched, yeah.
Yeah, so both decks kind of popping off in their own way.
Yeah. That was a showcase of how strong Urza Saga versus no Urza Saga is. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Ariel very much did quite a bit with that saga.
Yeah.
He threatened a construct that had to be removed, and then double hammered with a Stoneforge. It's pretty gross.
Yep. Yeah, Urza Saga is a powerful card. Gave him the threat in the construct, gave him the inevitability with the search.
Saga is absolutely busted, and so is Soul Cauldron and Carlos's deck. They're
Yeah.
both very disgusting magic cards in the format.
Yes. It's not just a free tutor, it's a free tutor that gives you mana.
Arguably, if Saga and Soul Cauldron were not in the format, these decks would not be tier 1.
No.
They are strongly enabled by both those cards.
So
Gives Hammer a backup plan with constructs, while also being a fetch besides Stoneforge Mystic, without having to play stuff like Blasphemous Skill. And then Carlos's deck has been a deck for a long time, but Scales is what, or Cauldron is what made it really, really good.
yeah, push it over the edge. And this boss is actually like pretty
Yeah,
powerful.
this
too.
is the boss giving it flying under Cauldron for no white,
Yep.
because you use the Soul Cauldron to activate.
Yep.
It's pretty important. Carlos is on the play. This is very important. So let's see how he opens.
Yeah, I had to
He
mulligan.
goes Saga Ozolith. It's a pretty strong opening. Or Saga
Zabaz.
Zabaz.
Yeah.
or even Grove Hardened Scales into Saga Ballista for 2.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of strong openings that he has.
Early Ballista, early Walker with the turn 1 Hardened Scales. Yeah. On turn 3, you have a 4/4. That's pretty good.
It's like an Arcbound, Scales.
He has a Forest and a Saga.
Is that a Cauldron?
I think that's a Welding Jar, maybe?
I really like
No,
Zabaz. I like the
Zabaz.
sand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. Saga definitely did make Amulet way more busted than it was. That is also a super factual.
Yeah.
Super factual term. So this makes
That's called
Ariel's hand. Ooh, Ariel top or drew a hammer. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So we're fetching to play aid. We have a hammer already in hand.
Yep.
This is gonna be a fast clock.
Wow.
All right, let's see who has the more busted opening here.
Ozolith, not bad.
Oh, he drew it.
Yeah.
Gross.
But I think he's just gonna
Hanger back for
either Hanger back or Ballista.
Ballista for 2.
Yeah.
Because of the scales.
And then he can probably Ozolith Arcbound next turn if he has land. Or, yeah, not a Cauldron. I don't think there's any.
There is Solitude. That is
Uh,
important to notice because it will force the usage of something. Does it say Stoneforge Mystic? Yeah, I'm a Solitude. Yep, let's force it now.
Yeah. Shields are down. I mean, you gotta.
Yep. Then here comes the Stoneforge.
Yeah. Might be tempting to get Cauldron if you already have a hammer.
Yep.
But
Activate Equip.
Yeah.
Or activate Cast Equip.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, what's all this business? What are all these lines of text on
So
here?
we are rushing to kill with something in the air, because that's gonna be 15 damage next turn with the Cauldron and the equipped hammer, and then it has another hammer with trample.
Yep.
That's pretty much game. So this is a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, and Ariel doesn't.
Unless he draws an answer to the Cauldron or the Stoneforge Mystic right now.
Yeah, Ariel doesn't know it, but Carlos doesn't have the Dismember in hand, and seeing it in game 2, he must be having some concern about it because it is something that can kill the Germ token.
Correct. Pathway in red. There's a Cauldron.
Yep, there's Cauldron. Ozolith,
Arcbound.
Arcbound.
We're gonna have how does that work? We might see the Cauldron combo.
Yeah.
I can't remember how it works.
I don't think he has it.
He's a card away from it, right?
He needs a way to put a counter on it.
The Cauldron.
Right, but I mean with the Walking Ballista.
We have an Arcbound, so we need his Zabaz.
Yes.
We also have a Saga getting Zabaz. I don't know. We're about to watch it.
It's about to unfold.
Which is crazy because if Ariel goes all on here, he could be dead. You don't know that.
Yeah.
It's pretty scary. This is chicken. This is literally chicken.
Yeah.
Because yep, activate.
Yep.
He's gonna go for it. Cauldron.
I mean, you have to. I don't think he has like any other cards in hand, does he?
I don't know. I know he has a hammer.
Or at least
I can't tell what the other card is. Land and something else.
Yeah, Flash and Hammer take 15, 16.
Go to 5.
15, yeah.
Land something. It looks like 2 fetch lands. Marshall's Air Mesa is what it looked like. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
All right, Carlos is really making sure he has this. It could be Salty Pitch card.
Yeah. But I mean, that's if it's his only way of winning, he has to do it.
Yeah. Living life on the edge. Let's go.
Yeah, we need to play to win. We need to play to not lose in this situation.
I think he's adding math.
Yeah. So we'll draw our card.
Hangerback Walker. Did we make a mana? We make a
Draw
mana.
the mana.
We go get Zavaz.
So can he...
I don't know. We're about to find out how gross this is.
He
Because
does.
he plays another hanger back.
I think he needs a land because he needs more mana. Because he can't play Cauldron and Hangerback in the same turn. So if he plays...
He can hanger back for 0 and modular trigger off of the Zavaz, right? Or does it just die to stay base?
No, because it actually was 0 counters.
That's correct. And it dies to stay base.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
In the tank for sure. Because Zabaz's destroying his own hangerback, you know, making a bunch of tokens. So if he goes and plays hangerback for 1, it enters with 2. Then he destroys the hangerback with Zabaz. That's going to make...
What are we judge calling for? What has happened?
I think he needs to read his own Zabaz, if I had to make a guess. So yeah, so Zabaz is red, destroy target artifact you control. So basically, is he able to get the...
I know what he's doing. So if he's able to do that and move the counters and then they move back and double and do it again, he can Cauldron the Ballista with all those tokens and move it to Zabaz and ping him. The question is it enough counters?
I think he might have it with an Arcbound attack.
Is it enough?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. So Hangerback on 1 enters with 2. Blows up the Hangerback with the Zabaz, so then he's going to get 2 Thopters. Sack, Zabaz. All those counters, 2 counters, go into Arcbound. I don't think that's enough with that. So he might be trying to figure out a way. Because whenever... Yeah, because you need the counters on the creature for the Arcbound to get it, I believe.
I love how animated Carlos is.
Yeah. So because... Okay, so he's playing Cauldron.
He does have hanger back in hand.
Yeah. So is he... So he has 4 counters. They go on there. Oh, okay, yeah. Then he attacks and then he just pings with the hanger back.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so that's the end of the game.
Wow, he really got it because he's gonna swing and then ballista ping. So that's 14 or 12 or 14, and then oh my god.
Yep.
Woo! Crazy top 8.
Wow.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Some pretty convoluted lines to winning, but
I agree that it's basic scales, but it's still really sweet to see play.
yeah.
Soul Cauldron makes that so crazy. And I'm sure Carlos is also nervous, like you're sitting there in a top 8 that you played.
Yeah.
So. Oh, based. I thought you said basic. I don't know, man. Scales is cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool to see.
Get a Cauldron.
You know, and you don't even see Ariel that upset. Ariel congratulated him. Ariel's a very good hammer player.
Yeah.
I mean, you can also say based hammer player if he would have won too. Let's review top 8 real quick. We currently still have Brian Dorman versus Chaz Tanner with Scam versus Golgari Yawgmoth. Ariel and Carlos just finished. We have Cal on Red Black Midrange and Nick 2 on on Amulet. And then we have Devin Fong on Martyr Proc versus Jonathan Bush on Death and Taxes. So those three matches are still going. We're gonna wrap this up for the first round of top 8 for us. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.